We can only hope that something like this never happens. But what if it does happen? What if a nuclear weapon hits New York tomorrow? Let us find out how the most populous city in all of America would fear it was hit by a nuclear bomb today. The consequences for a direct hit on New York City would be devastating, not just for the people who would die, but for the entire world. The damage would extend far beyond the physical destruction within the city and could trigger major worldwide economic, political, and social changes. Here are 10 things that would happen if a nuclear bomb exploded over New York City. No. 1. People would die. Obviously, there's no way around this. A direct hit from a large nuclear weapon would kill hundreds of thousands of people instantly. Most of those killed would be New Yorkers. However, due to wind patterns, radioactive fallout, and the blast wave, people would die across much of the eastern United States. Within a year, millions more would die from radiation exposure and other nuclear winter-related illnesses. Number 2, fires would rage across the city. The fires would start almost immediately after the explosion and rage for weeks. All of the electrical transformers feeding power into Manhattan would explode and ignite, sending massive fireballs into the air. Skyscrapers would catch fire and burn for months. People would desperately flee the city, but grid roads and bridges would quickly become impassable, turning the Great Escape into a nightmare. 3. Entire towns would be wiped off the map. A single nuclear weapon with a blast yield of about 60 to 80 kilotons of TNT would destroy everything within 10 miles of ground zero. Every building, every road, everything would be vaporized or burned to a crisp. In fact, the blast wave alone would be enough to level every building in the city. It would feel like an earthquake and cause total devastation. 4. Gridlock would ensue immediately after. For anyone who has ever been stuck in traffic in New York, you can imagine the gridlock. Tens of thousands of cars abandoned on the bridges and tunnels leading into and out of the city would quickly turn the escape from the Big Apple into a mass exodus. Planes would jam the skies as people tried to flee the city while they still can. 5. Food shortages would happen worldwide. The entire global food supply chain would be affected by a nuclear attack on New York. Crops would be destroyed by nuclear fallout. Markets would be disrupted by the destruction of New York, and agricultural production would decline. Prices would skyrocket as people panic and governments try to maintain order. As supplies dwindle, starvation and famine could become widespread across the planet. 6. Financial markets would collapse. The US stock market, which is currently trading at record highs, would immediately begin to plummet. Investors would scramble to sell their stocks and bonds, but no buyers could be found. Trading would quickly halt as the markets attempted to assess the damage. Eventually, the markets would resume trading with the value of stocks plummeting. The US economy would slide into a deep recession or total depression. 7. Radiation would spread quickly. The radioactive fallout from the explosion would spread quickly throughout the northeastern United States and beyond. Winds would carry radioactive particles across the country and even across the ocean to Europe. People not killed instantly by the bomb would face high levels of radiation exposure, causing radiation burns, cancer, and other health problems. Areas near the explosion would become stuck in a nuclear winter for years. 8. New York would become a radioactive wasteland. New York City would become a radioactive wasteland for generations. The area around Ground Zero would be stuck in a nuclear winter for decades or centuries. The soil, water, and air would be contaminated with nuclear fallout. The city would become a ghost town as people fled the area. The iconic skyline would be reduced to smoldering rubble and twisted metal skeletons of buildings. 9. Global famine and economic collapse. A nuclear attack on New York would lead to global famine and economic collapse. The United States is one of the largest producers and consumers of energy in the world. An attack on New York would disrupt energy production and distribution, leading to blackouts and rolling brownouts across the country and around the world. Global financial markets would collapse and economies would fall into recession or total depression. Countries would struggle to maintain order and stability as people panicked and rioted in the streets. Number 10. The world would end. Yeah, it's possible that a nuclear attack on New York could end the world. I know it sounds dramatic, but hear me out. If the bomb is big enough, the explosion and subsequent nuclear winter will cause a significant drop in temperatures across the northern hemisphere. Plants would die, animals would starve, and humans would freeze to death. The world as we know it would come to an end. And yes, this includes the end of YouTube as well. So if you like this video and want to see more, please hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. In conclusion, the impact of a nuclear weapon detonated over New York City would be catastrophic, leading to the deaths of hundreds of thousands to millions of people, widespread destruction and contamination, and significant disruptions to the global economy and environment. While the specific effects would depend on various factors, such as the size of the weapon and the preparedness of local authorities, it is clear that such an event would have profound consequences for humanity. It is essential to continue working towards nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament to reduce the risk of such a tragedy occurring in reality. New York City is a global hub of finance, culture, and trade, and its importance to the US and world economies cannot be overstated. The city's status as a major financial center means that a disaster there could trigger economic chaos both nationally and internationally. The loss of life and infrastructure would have ripple effects on industries and economies around the world. The potential environmental impact of a nuclear explosion in New York would be devastating. The areas surrounding the blast zone would be rendered largely uninhabitable due to high levels of radiation, while fallout could contaminate vast swaths of land and water, disrupting ecosystems and endangering wildlife and human populations. The long-term effects on air and water quality could be felt for generations, making the region a nuclear wasteland. But it doesn't have to be a nuclear bomb. There are other ways that New York City could be destroyed. In fact, there have been several movies made about the city being destroyed. Remember the movie starring Bruce Willis where he has to save the world by blowing up the moon? Well, that movie takes place in New York City. There is also the time when the Earth got a little too close to the sun and New York City got destroyed along with the rest of the world. Then there's that time when a giant lizard showed up and started destroying New York City. Don't forget the meteor that almost hit New York City in the movie Armageddon. Heck, remember when that spaceship came through the portal and was gonna destroy New York City? These are just a few of the many times that New York City has been destroyed on film. Some people say that if New York City was attacked, there would be a lot of collateral damage. Do you think a nuclear bomb should be dropped on New York City? Why or why not? Should nuclear weapons be used as a form of punishment for bad behavior? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, check these out next. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.